At Merrittville with Joe Plazek from Caster Center. I always want to change that around to Caster Corners, as the old Jack Burgess today from Caster Corners. Joe, it's nice to have you here. Again, a terrific-looking car.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. We just keep the same paint scheme, basically, and keeps on looking sharp every year, I guess.
Keeping up with the equipment, I mean, we're just talking to Brian Stevens and everyone down the line, and we'll talk to everyone before the season is over. The competition is getting more stiff every year. I know the car count may not be that high this year. The amount of technology that goes into this, the equipment is getting better and better and faster every season.
Well, when I think back to when I started in '83, I mean, we knew nothing when we came to the dirt circuit.
Right.
I still don't know a heck of a lot now, but I think I know a little more, and yeah, the technology's come a long ways. I mean, I've read so many books probably in the past couple, 3 years that it was mind-boggling. And the things we do at home would just stagger a fan to know how much we go through in a week just to prepare for the Friday, Saturday kind of deal we go through.
Exactly. You have run ASA-style late models at Cayuga. We watched you do that, and you made the swing over to dirt. Do you still find that you're borrowing a few of the techniques from there? I mean, you've got to kick the back end out on dirt here, and it's a totally different kind of a game, but do you find that a lot of the theory may be the same, or is it completely different?
Well, last year when we were going to Cayuga, a lot of people came up to me and said, you know, well, you should do great because you're from an asphalt background.
Right.
I said, no, that's not the way with it. A lot of these guys are from asphalt backgrounds. Doug Hoffman, Bob McCready, a lot of good asphalt racers have came into dirt and done real well. When I went back to the asphalt, really, racing's racing. And whether it's on asphalt or whether it's on dirt, it didn't really seem to make a difference. I mean, it's still the competitiveness and the technology, and it still is hard. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you've raced asphalt for 10 years. But just like with Jeff Bodine coming to Cayuga this year.
Yeah.
It'll be different for him. I mean, sure, he's a Winston Cup racer. He's a good asphalt racer, but he's hopping into a whole different car and running against a whole bunch of different guys. And he'll do well, but it'll still be tough.
Can you catch Bicknell to stop him from making his 6 championships in a row?
Man, I don't know. You know, Peter's running real well. I'd like to say that we'll be close. Last week was one race, and Pete looked real good, and we didn't. But we made a bad choice on tires, and it was my own fault. I mean, I made the choice. But I don't think Pete's unstoppable. No, we'll be close.
Okay, Joe. Best of luck in '89.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, Joe Plazek from Caster Center. Alrighty, the Mighty Modifieds are out here and set to do battle, and we're not going to stop them this time for the introduction, just going to sort of do it on the fly. Starting from the back to the front, the 96 is Fred Carlton out of St. Catharines, the 18 is Rick Hochter out of Buffalo, the number 4 is Frank Plazek out of Caster Center, the 82W is Ken Winfield.
Okay, we're ready to go, everybody.
Out of Fort Erie. We'll get to the rest of them as we work it through, because we're all set for the start, and that's the most important thing. We're off and running, and Freddie Cade on the brake. Right beside the 16 at Jim Bigelow. The 57 Lee Jerome of Lancaster's in there as well. The Modifieds, Fred Cade in the 212 out of Thorold. Jim Bigelow, fellow Thorold driver, in number 16 moving in. Lee Jerome wants part of that lead as well in the 57. There's the number 11 at Jamie Turner at a Caster Center, hanging tough in there as well. Ron Smoker in the 62R. Mark Shadwell of the Hamiltons, the 07. The 06, Terry St. Amant out of St. Catharines. The number 20 is Don McGinnis, Don McGinnis out of Ransomville. There's Pete Bicknell right beside Brian Stevens. Bicknell, the 42. Brian Stevens in the 444. Harvey Hayner in the 2H. That's most of the field. We'll get to them, the rest of them, as the race progresses. The 212. Now we've got Scott Wood getting out of shape. Everybody bunching up in behind him. And everybody continues unscathed. 2 laps are down. Big pack of cars, but they're all trying to catch Fred Cade in the 212. Jim Bigelow running second in the number 16. Third place runner Lee Jerome in the 57 Junior. There's Ron Smoker, the 62R. Terry St. Amant in the 06. And the number 11, Jamie Turner out of Caster Center. Scott Wood out of St. Catharines in the 38W. Fred Cade kissed the wall. That could give Jim Bigelow a break he needs. Fred Cade got too low and came into contact with the guardrail. Oh, Fred Cade bouncing back. Now he's do-si-doing out there with the 16 of Jim Bigelow. Bigelow now gets in front. There's a little blocking of his own. They're hammering on the back door. Dueling here for the lead. Fred Cade in the 212. in the 16. And we've got big problems up here in turn number 1 as Mark Shadwell and Don Turner come into contact. I believe there's another car in there. It's kind of hard to see, but we saw Scott Wood's wheels kick up high in the air. And that brings the yellow off with 6 down. Mark Shadwell in the 07 at a Hamilton is out of the car. He's all right. But the cars were hopping up and down like fleas on hot bricks up there between 1 and 2. I think that 3 and 4. Beg your pardon. So that brings out the yellows and another squadron of tow trucks. Pete Bicknell well back in the pack. Here comes the pace car. We'll give you the order as they come by. It's Jim Bigelow in the 16, Fred Cade in the 212, and Lee Jerome. Here's a replay there. You see everybody getting out of shape. Everybody's on the brakes. There's Shadwell going 90 degrees, and there's the Don Turner car in the 39 getting out of shape. Back to the order. In behind the pace car, Jim Bigelow in the 16, Freddie Cade in the 212, Lee Jerome in the 57. There's Ron Smoker in the 62R, Terry Sienemann on the 06, Jamie Turner in the 11, Harvey Hayner in the 2H. Then you've got Pete Bicknell in the 42, Scott Wood in the 38W. There's Brian Stevens in the 444, Rick Hochter out of Buffalo in the 18, the number 4, Frank Plazek, 82W, Ken Winfield out of Fort Erie. There's Don Turner in the 39, and then Don McGinnis in the number 20. So there's the entire order right from front to back. Get a chance here to look at the modified points. And there they are. Pete Bicknell with 60. You've got the points here, not on your screen. Brian Stevens with 55. Harvey Hayner has 50. Joe Plazek 48. Scott Wood with 46. Then Don McGinnis with 44. Terry Sienemann with 40. Frank Plazek with 40. Ron Smoker with 38. And Mark Shadwell with 36. So that's the way they follow. In the points for the modifieds. Still early in the racing season. And there's Mark Shadwell coming by the start-finish line on the back of the hook, and he's got some heavy-duty damage back there on the rear Nerf bars and the left rear quarter panel on the back of the magical hook, because just like magic, you're back in the pits. So in just a few seconds, we will go back to Barry Davison's green flag. As a matter of fact, he's got the white flag out there right now, signifying one more time around on the restart. Jim Bigelow, second-generation driver out of Thorold, continues to control. Front row inside, Fred Cade in the 212. Front row on the outside, and Freddie running very, very well, much improved from last week here. All right, the pace car getting set. There you see the right hand of the assistant starter on the switches. He turns up those yellow lights. And that means we're set to go growling again, boys and girls. And here they come out of number 4. On the brake, Jim Bigelow sideways, gets a little bit wobbly. Fred Cade falls off the pace. Fred Cade losing power, and he's just going to pull it into the pits. Fred Cade just dropping off, and that just dishes up the lead to Jim Bigelow in the number 16. Lee Jerome is on the move. He's got second place. Ron Smoker also in control. Yellows coming on again. We've got a car off the track. I did not see who dropped off the edge. It looks like Freddie Cade in the 212 did not leave further enough down the entrance, or far enough down the entrance to pit row, and that necessitated the yellow. I thought a car had left the speedway up here in 1 and 2, but it may have been a shadow. Anyway, Freddie Cade is now getting a push the rest of the way into the pit area. So Fred Cade just off the break, off the restart, just lost power and didn't even have enough inertia to go down the ramp into the pits. So Fred Cade's got a little work to do. So Jim Bigelow in the 16. Still there, front row inside. That's where he started. And Lee Jerome, and look where Pete Bicknell has moved himself up from. He's right there, second row, inside. Feature winner last week, going after 6 championships in a row, and now he's within killing distance to try and reel in the number 16 of Jim Bigelow. Now he's got Lee Jerome for second on the break. In that Baker-powered machine, a car of his own design, Pete Bicknell builds a lot of the other cars out here as well. Now he's rapping on the door of Jim Bigelow. He wants that lead away from the thorough driver. Pete Bicknell puts it sideways. In that Baker-powered car, Pete Bicknell in the 42, bouncing there with Jim Bigelow. They go side by side, and now down the back stretch. Bigelow hangs onto it. Jimmy's got a lot of power. So does Pete Bicknell. Now dropping off. Jim Bigelow hopped up too high at a number 4. And that will serve it up lead-wise to the 42 of Pete Bicknell. Exactly what he wanted to have happen, and that's what happened. So Pete Bicknell, here he comes. Get used to this, kids, because he's got a very powerful car going for 6 championships in a row to break Davey Moore's seemingly unprecedented record of 5 consecutive points championships. Jim Bigelow, though, is not going to be shaken off that easy. He's right there on the back end. He wants that lead back. Terry Santamon on a very nice drive compared to last week, now in third. And Ron Smoker, 62R. Now we've got Don Turner disabled, fighting to get that car back up to power in the 39. And we've got a flat tire on Don Turner's car, and he will drop off in the pits. But that brought the yellow flag out, the yellow lights as well, as we did not know if Don Turner was going to be able to pull it off in time. He was, as it turned out, but the yellows had already come out. So Pete Bicknell, look where Terry Santamon is. He's within handgun range. Ron Smoker in the 62R. Scott Wood has moved up very nicely as well, and there's Harvey Hayner in the 2H. Third row on the outside, and he is in the hunt as well. Brian Stevens with some right rear quarter panel damage on that 444 with a new engine after grenading or woofing his motor here last week in the 444. Okay, the yellows are out. All set for a restart. 11 laps have been completed. And we're all set to roll. Pete Bicknell puts the hammer down in turn number 4. Doesn't take him long to get to turn number 1, does it? 42, Pete Bicknell. Jim Bigelow trying to hold off the 06 of Terry Santamon. Harvey Hayner is now on the move. Bicknell on the lead, but Bigelow dropping back badly, leaving second place. He makes contact there with Harvey Hayner. He's dropping well off the pace. Santamon takes over second in the 06. Harvey Hayner now in third place. Bigelow trying it on the high side, but the car is not handling the way he would want it. And it appears to be getting worse as the race goes on. Now he's dropping well back, now on beside Don McGinnis in the number 20. But here comes your leader, Pete Bicknell in the 42. Santamon a nice drive in the 06 in second. Harvey Hayner in the 2H. Running in third, Brian Stevens is fourth. Ron Smoker in the 62R is running in fifth, and Scott Wood in behind him. But here is your leader, Pete Bicknell in the 42. Here comes the 06 of Santamon, the 2H of Hayner, the 444 of Brian Stevens. 15 laps have been completed. Pete Bicknell is your leader. Here comes the rest of the pack. There's the 06 of Santamon going by. Harvey Hayner has got Brian Stevens banging on the back porch door. Let me in. He wants third place. Stevens fighting with Hayner. They're good friends off the track, but it's anybody's business out here on the racetrack. Pete Bicknell is still your runaway leader by at least a quarter of the racetrack. The race here for second, third, and fourth between the 06 of St. Catharines, Terry Santamon, and the two other St. Catharines pilots, the 2H of Harvey Hayner and the 444 flying Brian Stevens. Hayner now trying to make his move on the outside in the 2H. Terry St. Amant hanging on to it. Hayner and Stevens side by side in behind the 06 of Terry St. Amant. Stevens and Hayner are right there, and here's the battle. They're tight together. You can throw a blanket over all three of them. Here they come out of 4. Fans on their feet. Still the 06 of Terry St. Amant. Hayner's going to try it on the outside, and look where Stevens is. They could play cards with that close. 3 abreast coming out of 4. Terry St. Amant in the 06, Stevens in the 444, Hayner high on the outside. They're going side by side in 3 and 4. And here they come. You don't get better racing than this. Stevens tapped the back end of St. Amant. Little tap there from Stevens in the back end of St. Amant, and Harvey Hayner now has second place. Trying to catch the 42 of Pete Bicknell. But Harvey Hayner will inherit second place. St. Amant clicks back to third. Fourth place, Brian Stevens. And they're still within gun shooting range of each other. But your leader, not to lose sight of that, with 22 laps down. The 42 of Pete Bicknell is already in turn number 1. While the rest of the pack, the second, third, and fourth place cars, are just in turn number 4. That's the lead. It's a straightaway lead for Pete Bicknell out of the Garden City. Still Pete Bicknell, 82 car of Ken Winfield in the middle, and here comes second, third, and fourth. Harvey Hayner, Terry St. Amant, and Brian Stevens. 2H, the 06, and the 444. Stevens wants to take over the place of Terry St. Amant. Brian Stevens and Terry St. Amant are battling here for third and fourth. Harvey Hayner is your second place runner behind Pete Bicknell, who is a very distant leader at this point. 27 laps complete. 27 laps in the feature event for the Modifieds. A McLean Hunter Cable 10 from Merrittville Speedway in St. Catharines. Still Pete Bicknell, Harvey Hayner in the 2H. Rick Hochter from Buffalo pulls it off, along with Don Turner. So we lose 2 cars out of the field. Here comes the second, third, and fourth place runners. Harvey Hayner in the 2H. Brian Stevens in the 44, who takes it over from Terry St. Amant, who drops back into fourth position with the leader, Pete Bicknell, in the 42. Brian Stevens not giving up. He's got Harvey Hayner to try and reel in now. Brian working on second place from Hayner. Your leader, there he is, Pete Bicknell, won last week, shooting for his 6th consecutive points championship. And he looks pretty right now to try and do it again. At least win this feature. Pete Bicknell in the Bicknell Cavalier. Pulling it out of turn number 4, just running rings around the field. Second place runner, the 2H, coming out of 4 right now. That's Harvey Hayner out of St. Catharines. Fellow Garden City runner Brian Stevens, the 444, right behind him. And he's not going to let Hayner get away that easily. St. Amant dropping back. Popsicle sticks, the rabbit ears are up. 2 laps to go. And again, it looks like Bicknell on his way to another feature win to make it 2 consecutive feature wins. He was a winner here last week. Could make it double barrel with another one. White flag for Pete Bicknell. Last lap coming up. Stevens gets down a little bit low there. Harvey Hayner up high. Stevens wants to challenge Hayner for second place with a checkered flag for Pete Bicknell. And here comes the race for second place. Let's see what happens. 2H of Harvey Hayner. Will he hang on to second? It looks like he will. That puts Brian Stevens in third place. Terry St. Amant in the 06 will finish in fourth. So, no real change as far as our winner goes from last week. The 42, Pete Bicknell out of St. Catharines, pulling off feature win 2 in a row here at Merrittville. So we'll put another little star beside Peter, and we'll keep track of this. And that Baker-powered car, another very strong run for the Garden City car builder. Doug Hoffman drives cars of his design further down on the dirt circuit down in downstate New York. But he's certainly doing his own garage and car building company proud on the local front, because Pete Bicknell right now appears to be uncatchable. So Mel Swart is down there, and Pete Bicknell will get unbuckled from the office at that number 42. We're going to have a PA interview with him. Whether or not we can pick that up, I don't know. We're going to certainly be talking to Peter numerous times throughout the course of the racing season here at Merrittville on McLean Hunter Cable 10. Just get a few of his ideas. There he is out of the car now. Handshake. And around the front of the car, this is a very, very familiar route around for Pete Bicknell, one of the best modified drivers in the Northeast. A shake of the hand from former well-enthralled MLA Mel Swart. Another checkered flag for Pete Bicknell. Alex Bruce and the rest of the crew down there with the photographs. Look at the fans heading out. Don't forget the replay of the action here at Merrittville on McLean Hunter Cable 10 every Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8:30, as long as the council meetings don't run over. If they do, they might get bumped. So there's a look at Pete. So Pete Bicknell makes it 2 in a row, and again, he looks like he's well on his way to a 6th consecutive points championship. He makes it 2 feature wins, and another fine drive for St. Catharines native and car builder Pete Bicknell. So that just about does it for Merrittville for tonight on Mother's Day Eve. This is Eric Thomas on behalf of the staff of McLean Hunter Cable 10 and the staff at Merrittville Speedway, wishing you a very pleasant good evening, good night, and we'll see you next week from Merrittville.